The pre-competition meal is an important meal to think about. So when we don't eat overnight, our liver glycogen stores are reduced. So replenishing glycogen by eating is particularly important first thing on the morning of a competition. High carbohydrate meal such as cereal, milk, and juice 2 to 4 hours before competition can restore that liver glycogen. The effects of different foods should be tested during training, not during competition. So, have a meal, see how you do, see how you feel prior to changing that meal up during the competition morning. And in addition, providing nutritional clout, a meal that includes lucky foods, may provide an added psychological advantage. So what to eat during exercise. So we want to consume carbohydrates, particularly important for exercise in the morning when liver glycogen levels are low. Carbohydrate intake should begin shortly after exercise begins. And then regular amounts should be consumed every 15 to 20 minutes during exercise for about 30 to 60 grams per hour. And you should provide easily digestible carbohydrates like glucose and fructose. But you have to remember, most people don't need to eat while they're exercise. This is for the activity that lasts longer than an hour. That's when it's important to consume carbohydrates during exercise to maintain glucose supplies. So this carbohydrate consumption during exercise is particularly important for athletes who exercise in the morning before eating breakfast. Snacks and sports drinks also provide sodium, although the amount of sodium lost in sweat during exercise lasting less than 3 to 4 hours is usually not enough to affect health or performance. So a snack or beverage containing sodium is recommended only for exercise lasting more than an hour. And this can reduce the risk of hypernatremia. So if for the casual exerciser, you're just getting the minimum amount of what's recommended, you really don't need to be consuming sports drinks. They're mostly just simple carbohydrates, glucose and fructose with the sodium that you don't really need in your diet. Only if you're doing very rigorous exercise would you need that for anything more than an hour, really up to 3 or 4 hours. What to eat after exercise. So when you stop exercising, your body must shift from the task of breaking down glycogen, triglycerides, and most proteins for fuel to the job of restoring muscle and liver glycogen, so depositing lipids and synthesizing muscle protein. Meals eaten after exercise should replenish lost fluids, electrolytes, and glycogen, and provide protein for building and repairing muscle tissues. So this gives you very exacting information about how long after and about what percentage of calories are sufficient. So I love that this book talks about ergogenic aids. So what is an ergogenic aid? So these are substances, appliances, or procedures that improve athletic performance. So many vitamins, minerals, and substances in these supplements claim to help provide energy for exercise or promote exercise recovery. Most do not actually improve athletic performance. Few have a small effect compared to a healthy diet. And most are promoted based on their function of the micro or macronutrients in them, but the supplementation, getting extra or getting it from a supplement, doesn't improve their function. It's just part of what they are supposed to do. So This figure illustrates the relative importance of various nutritional strategies for exercise and performance. So, along with talent and training, eating a healthy overall diet provides the most significant benefit. So an overall healthy diet, if you look at this circle as a plate, so over 50% or more of our performance comes from a healthy diet. Sports foods and beverages can supply energy and ensure hydration during an athletic event. So when glycogen levels are low and we need that extra boost for those long-term athletes, that's when sports foods or beverages might be useful. Otherwise, they are not necessary by any means. And most ergogenic supplements provide little or no performance boost. So important to understand that. So what are some of the common supplements to build muscles? So you've probably heard of growth hormone. The goal is it increases muscle protein synthesis, but it has not been shown to enhance muscle strength, power, or aerobic exercise capacity. It has been shown to improve anaerobic exercise capacity, but it can cause heart dysfunction, high blood pressure, excessive growth of some body parts. And ornithine and arginine and lysine stimulate growth hormone release, but do not cause muscle mass strength increases more than exercise alone. And we do see these added to a lot of sports supplements, so just be cautious of what their claims are. And if you're very interested in this, the section really explains it in the book. Anabolic steroids, they are they're synthetic fat-soluble hormones that mimic testosterone, and they accelerate protein synthesis, and they increase our muscle size and strength, and they're really precursors to steroid precursors like androstenedione and andro can be converted into steroids in the body, but have not been found to increase testosterone levels or have an ergogenic effect. There are side effects of anabolic steroids. We know that they decrease testosterone secretion, leading to testicle shrinkage and decreased sperm production. They can cause stunted height or growth in adolescents. They give an oily skin, acne, water retention in the tissues, yellowing of the eyes and skin, can contribute to coronary artery disease, liver disease, death, and psychological and behavioral changes such as violent outbursts, depressions, and suicide. So here's what the people who take anabolic steroids perceive. And despite their risk, between 1 million and 3 million athletes in the U.S. have used anabolic steroids. They are a controlled substance and are banned by the International Olympic Committee, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, and most other sporting organizations. We do know that high levels inhibit hormones released by the hypothalamus and decrease testosterone. So what about supplements purported to enhance performance in short and intense activities? Well, HMB is something we're seeing a lot of now. Even products like Ensure and a lot of different protein supplements are adding HMB, and we do know that studies found a small increase in strength in previously untrained men, but trivial effects in trained lifters. Bicarbonate, that acts as a buffer to neutralize acid to delay fatigue and improve performance. We're finding that in some supplements, but it can cause abdominal cramps and diarrhea. And creatine, probably a lot of people have heard of that. That's used to make creatine phosphate to provide quick energy for short-term maximal exercise. and there may be some science that increases muscle mass and strength. So here, creatine from the diet or supplements plus creatine synthesized in the body may boost creatine phosphate or A2P for energy and muscle development. Increased fat or oxygen available to muscle cells is purported by carnitine. It's a fat burner. It increases fat utilization during exercise. So you use fat and it spares the glycogen. But there's no science to show that it increases endurance. MCTs, or medium chain triglycerides, are thought to cause body fatty acid levels to rise, increasing fat's availability as a fuel. And supplements have not been shown to increase endurance, spare glycogen, or enhance performance. And so what we're really looking at is the science behind it. Caffeine. So we know that caffeine is thought to enhance fatty acid release, to use as a fuel source, so less glycogen is used, and the fatigue onset is delayed. We know that it improves concentration and enhances alertness. Very often it impairs performance by causing GI upset. That's the biggest issue, is caffeine as a GI irritant. But there are some studies to suggest that a small amount of caffeine per kilogram of body weight up to an hour before exercising and in small doses during exercise may improve endurance. So you may see that in some of the sports supplements now. So the last thing I always like to talk about is energy drinks. So what's the purpose of energy drinks? So how much caffeine's in your beverage? So we see some common energy drinks here. So a cup of coffee, 8 ounces, has about 100 to 200 milligrams of caffeine. And then we can see 8 ounces of Coke, small amount of caffeine, Mountain Dew, Monster, Jolt Cola, Arizona Caution Extreme Energy Shot, 100 milligrams, Rockstar Full Throttle. So the popularity of energy drinks give you promises, and probably a lot of you live off them, is to stay at work, to study, work, drive, party all night long, and even for athletic performance. But the main ingredients in these drinks are sugar and caffeine. And we know glucose is an important fuel for exercise, and caffeine is known to enhance endurance. But so it seems like these are a good idea, but they also contain other ingredients that make promises, like B vitamins, guarana, which is a stimulant. It's a type of caffeine ginseng, which can have caffeine in it, but in general, the safety of consuming them in combination with other products is still unknown. So use with caution. EPO, erythropoietin, it's produced by the kidneys to stimulate red blood cell production. It can enhance endurance by increasing the ability to transport oxygen to the muscles and increase aerobic capacity and spare glycogen, because you know that serious athletes have a hard time keeping up with red blood cell production and that extra oxygen that is needed. Performance anemia or sports anemia. But too much can stimulate too many red blood cells, leading to blood clotting, heart attacks, strokes, and death. Other supplements that you may hear of are things like brewer's yeast, royal jelly, DNA and RNA supplements. And what I hope you learned is herbal products are marketed to athletes, but most have not been studied extensively for their ergonomic effects. So the only evidence of their benefits is anecdotal, meaning people say, yeah, this works great for me, or some of the marketing ads that you had to analyze, and many can harm health as well as performance. So athletes should really consider the risk before using these products. And that's the